Hello, my name is Mandolin. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I've known Mario since we were both in the 8th grade together, and then all throughout high school. I consider myself to be a person under the category of an indigo or star child. I guess to thoroughly put it into like a sentence of definition, it would be like someone who feels and believes that their soul and spirit and existence has not stemmed or has not come from Earth. People like me and people like other indigo children are more sensitive to their surroundings and more sensitive and in tune with their environments and have this impending feeling of homesickness, and there is an entirely separate purpose to their life and an entirely separate reason why they are on this planet, whether this be their only life or their one of their many lives that we will live. We feel that this is not it for us, and that we did not come from the planet that we are living on right now. However, with that being said, as this person, like this set life, as if this were my only life for me to live, and this is the only one I have, I don't believe that I was like born on Jupiter or born on Venus or something like that, and then sent down here on like a crazy space plane. I believe that my soul and my subconscious being and my spirit, all of the inner workings of who I am has not the birth of my spirit did not take place on planet Earth. Um, yeah, I would say that I've struggled to find a word that I feel the most comfortable with, or I've struggled to find one of the categories that I feel most comfortable identifying as. I have a hard time saying star children, and I have a hard time identifying as like a star seed, which I guess would be one that I'm a little bit more comfortable with and feel less exploitative and kind of sort of gimmicky. Would probably be starseed or indigo child or something like that. But I struggled to find one of those categories that I feel comfortable fully identifying as. Something that I'm still working on, or something that I've always been trying to figure out. In the literal sense of all of the meanings of each category, yes, I would identify myself as a star child, possibly a crystal child, and also an indigo child. As someone who has dabbled in the crystal magic and candle magic and white magic, sort of Wicca practices, and that's something that I find great solace in. That is something that I could identify myself as being, along with an indigo child, which are it's 90% of what I'll be explaining to you today, and then star child being me, and my soul not being from our lovely planet Earth. when I was about 7 years old, I felt that, I remember laying in bed and thinking, like, there's something more to this. I'm here for a reason. I'm here to do something. I'm here. I have a duty that I need to fulfill, and like a prideful feeling of, I need to make someone proud, or I need to, I have a gift and I don't know what it is, and I don't know how I'm going to use that gift, or where it comes from, or whatever it is. But whenever I was 7 years old, I felt that I had a little bit more wisdom to share. I felt that I had already had almost like a life's worth of experiences at 7 years old, even though I had only been alive for 7 years, and I hadn't gone through very much at all. So yeah, that's really when I first realized that something was different about me, and that there was something more to the way that I'm supposed to be living. But whenever I was 14, I realized that being an indigo child, or a star seed, which is the first. Starseed is the first term that I came across that felt the most comfortable and resonated the most with me. So I was about 13 or 14 years old when I came across that classification, and that's whenever I realized that that's exactly what I am, and I had no idea that anybody else felt like this, and I'm not crazy for feeling this way, and it's something that is very real, and it may be hard to understand for some people that don't identify as a star seed, or don't feel that they are a star seed, or being a star seed affects my life in very many ways. For example, I find myself getting frustrated by my own physical limitations. I find myself getting frustrated because my body and the vessel that I am in has a hard time keeping up with the way that my inner self thinks and feels and wants to act. So I feel that my inner self is it's almost like kind of further behind than my physical body, and I feel that I have a hard time acting on certain things as a result of that. So I will think more progressively, and I'll feel more progressively, and feel things so much more proactively. However, because I'm in a physical human being body, and I'm here as a human, I have a hard time turning those thoughts, the thoughts that I have, into actions, which I think is also partially why maybe I have a hard time explaining a lot of these things, because this, not only is it something that I don't often have the opportunity to really talk about, but it's also something I sometimes, I quite often choose not to talk about, because not everyone understands, and also some people question my mental health as a result of the things that I'm telling them. So, which is a normal thing to assume when someone explains to you something like this, and I don't blame them at all. However, those who, and this is how my brain filters out the people who are like me, and people who are much more human and much more grounded here than I am, because those who understand me, and those who understand the way that I live my life, and the things that I feel on a daily basis, and these supposed gifts that I was born with, I don't have to explain it to them, and they simply understand, and they are automatically drawn to me because they understand, and maybe they're even a little bit like me as well. So this isn't something that is not necessarily something that is as rare as some people probably believe. There are probably quite a few people in your life that are star seeds or are indigo children, and you might not know it, and they might not know it either. But when you meet someone that is like you, and whenever I meet someone that is like me, we know, and there's a unity between the two of us that is unspoken and does not have to be acknowledged physically or verbally acknowledged, because it just is. I like one of the first things people will ask or will assume, whether they think that you know or not, always can tell, and I always know, and there's nothing that people can really hide to me whenever it comes to things like this. So it's like, if I tell someone who I know for a fact is not a starseed, or if I know for a fact is not an indigo child, of course I can feel their judgment, and I've even had people outwardly ask if I have had dissociative identity disorder. See, this is like a really hard one, because it's common for people like me to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which is what I have been diagnosed with in the past. I was diagnosed with when I was 14, which was around the same time that I found out about what all of this was, and what kind of human I am living as, and all of the things that brought my feelings of not being from this planet, and things like that. That was around the same time I found out what all of this was. That's also whenever I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And it's common for people that are indigo children or star seeds to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder because of that reason. Most of, I'd say about 90% of the judgment that I face from explaining this to people is people asking about my mental health and assuming that I have poor mental health, which, aside from all of the anxiety and the depression and obsessive compulsive thoughts that I have because of genetics purely, and because of factors that are out of my control, I generally do not always have poor mental health, and especially not in that way.